Hello, my beautiful people. It's another beautiful time with you guys. It's always a huge pleasure for me to be here with you. Well, today is taking a new turn, unlike the usual video. Today is just my voice, and I hope you enjoy this episode. It promises to be an amazing episode, of course, and I know it's going to bless you tremendously. I'll be sharing some deep lies that I understand, some deep truth that I came to realize, and I pray that this blesses you as much as it blesses me, much more, because Nigeria is 60. Yes, and I'm super excited that I am alive to witness that Nigeria is 60, despite the challenges, despite so many things that have tried to tear this country down. But we are still standing strong, we are still standing still, we are still there, and I celebrate Nigeria. Nigeria is 60, and I'm super excited. Happy Independence once again, and yes, happy new month to you all. For all who were able to see this new month, a lot of things happened, some passed away and all that, but we are grateful, of course, that we are able to see today. And yes, today we're going to be having, talking about something very important. We're in the era of change. Yes, because the current president runs with that theme, change. And really got me thinking, what is change? We all keep saying we need change, we need change, we need to change this, we need to change that. And then there is this saying that change is the only constant thing. But the question is change really a constant? Stay tuned as we get to share more light on this. Hello, and thank you for staying with us or lighting the mind. So I'll just go straight to the business of the day. Remember what I said? Change is the only constant thing in life. Well, that's the popular saying, but we get to know how true that is. So with that being said, I'm going to be defining those two terms, change and then constant. Now, I gave a brief definition of change, which is it is the process of becoming different, just a simple definition. And then constant, it means unchanged through time or space. It is permanent, consistently recurring over time, persistent, steady in purpose, action, and feeling. Well, keep those words at the back of your mind. Constant is that which is permanent or invariable. Well, just to broaden your mind, algebra defines constant as a quantity that remains at a fixed value throughout a given discussion. Science says constant is any property of an experiment determined numerically that does not change under given circumstances. Well, it's very important that you know that for anything to be termed a constant, it must possess the characteristics of a constant, which I already defined. But just to remind you, those characteristics of a constant are five. I basically picked out five, which is one, it is permanent; two, recurring; number three, it is persistent; four, not affected by external factors; and then five, it is independent, which I feel is like the number two was important. The number one was important to me actually is it does not it is not affected by external forces, which technically means still independent. But for me, the number one thing is that it is persistent over time, it is recurring over time. That is my number one. So change does not just happen, something must trigger it. Yes, something must definitely trigger it. And that is the point that you get to understand that change is not really constant, because for it to be termed a constant, it must go through these five characteristics which I said, of which it feels in being independent and it is dependent on an external factor. For anything to actually change, it needs an external factor to act on it. Then it can change, just like physics said. I think it's a law of inertia. An object will continually remain at the state of rest until an external force is being acted on that particular thing. I think that should be Newton's third law or something. Well, I can't remember, but you get my point. So I'm going to picking this example is from the life of an eagle. Typically, an eagle should live 20 to 30 years in the wild. But then if it wants to live beyond that, which is 70 years, it must make a very serious decision. It's a very hard decision because around the age of, I think, 40 years old, the eagle gets very feeble. Feeble in the sense that its beak are now very thick, its talons are weak, it cannot really grab prey. He needs his beak and then his talons to actually help him survive. But then if those two are actually weak, then the eagle will just die out. And then his wings, his feathers are now very weak because he can't really fly. So he will have to make, that eagle will have to take a very, a drastic decision. He has two options on the table, either to die away or to take that decision to go through the painful process of change. Trust me, there is no change, no process of change that is very enjoyable. It is very painful. It's a painful process, but then when you're able to pass through it all, you're going to see how beautiful it is at the end of the day. The whole process was to prepare you, to make you stronger and to make you better. And that's the whole story of an eagle. Now, when that eagle is able to pass through, all those hurdles, he will live for up to 70 years. And then to go through this process of change, he needs to give like 150 days. He needs to go through that process for 150 days. That is no joke. I tell you, it is no joke. Now, in order for the eagle to go through the process, it requires certain things, of which number one, the eagle has to fly to a mountain top and sit on its nest. That's the very first one. It uses it more like its last energy, its last strength to fly to a very tall mountain and sit down there for a while. Then the eagle knocks its beak against a rock until it plucks it out. And when he plucks out he breaks the hard part of his beak, then he uses that sharp part of his beak to pluck out his talons, the old part of his talons, to enable him, to be able to catch his prey again. And with that sharp beak, he plucks out the feathers that are worn out so that new ones will grow. Now, after that, there's a rebirth. Now, the eagle is able to live for 30 more years. Wow. But he had to make a choice. He had to make a very painful decision of taking that chance with change. Now, the thing is, a change occurred, but only at the mercy of a circumstance, a factor. Remember what I said, change does not just happen, something must trigger it. Now, the change of that ego actually happened, but something had to trigger it. It's because it got to its elastic point. So it's either going to break, or it goes through the painful process of change. So the constant is independent of any factor. Yeah, changes things. The world needs change. Yes. Nigeria needs change. Yes. You and I need change. Yes. But the question is, can we go through the process of change like the eagle? How long will it take? Will it be successful and sustained? Because it is one thing to be successful and it is one thing to sustain it. I don't know, but I know this. We have focused on change as a constant and forgotten what really is the constant. Hence, we keep going back and forth in circles without any progress. The constant we need for a change is simple: God. God, in whom is all the change, but it in himself cannot change. Is the most valid constant that even time with its vastness is bound to, but cannot bound him. I know what time itself stands in awe of him. To go through this process of change for a good and lasting result is to find the constant, which is God. Hence, the change the world needs, the change Nigeria needs, the change you and I need is God. We need to find God if we are going to find change, a lasting solution to every kind of trial and temptation and whatever challenge that we're facing in our country and in the world. The Bible rightly puts it, I paraphrase, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves before me and seek me, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sins and will heal their land. Stop looking for a change. Look for the constant God. He's ever ready to hear. You have fought it too long by your understanding. You have fought it too long by your wisdom. You have tried to look for a change by your own power, but it seems not to be working. My friend, my sister, my brother, why don't you try this constant God? Why don't you just try him? He has never failed. Remember, he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. It means that whatever situation you find yourself in, good or in bad, he is God. He's never changing. I do believe that your mind has been lighted and you have an understanding that it is not about change being the constant in life, but God being the constant in life that can bring about your desired change. Remain ever blessed, and I love you sincerely.